Let's start the show. Hi. I never know when to start talking because I don't know when OBS actually starts the streaming. But hello, everyone. I'm jcontra, being rudely interrupted by someone on Facebook. I'm here playing uh, Donkey Kong Jr. You'll notice up in the left-hand corner is my own very special label that I scanned in. I am making an effort to scan in all of the labels of all of my games. And it is actually a lot more work than I thought it would be. Especially when you want to make a scan look good, you got to put a lot of effort into that stuff. And you got to put, I do a little bit of editing to make the result much cleaner than it would be normally, and then you got to worry about color correction and all that noise. But it's very fulfilling, and so my ultimate plan, I guess, I don't know if they say that talking to people about your projects makes you actually less likely to complete them, but my vision is a website that will contain not only manual scans, which I've been doing for the last, I have probably like 100 or so Japanese game manuals scanned and just ready to be uploaded somewhere. I even have for some games, I have like a little best of, like really cool clips of art that I found in manuals. Because for example, so I have Final Fight for the Super Famicom, and the thing about the English manual is that it's kind of just this black and white nothing. It's just a bunch of text on a bunch of black text on a white background, and that's boring. But if you look at the Japanese manual, it's really cool. It's got all these pictures and it's got character backgrounds. It's really cool, and I think people should be able to see that, because at least I think I Google searched it, but I don't think anybody's ever scanned in the Final Fight manual. There's all of these Japanese games, and particularly the older the game is, the more likely that the manual wasn't given a true localization, or there wasn't a one-to-one localization where you got all of the artwork and everything. Like for Super Famicom games, although in the PlayStation era, I believe that changed, because I was looking at like Metal Gear. I scanned in the Japanese copy of Metal Gear Solid for the PlayStation, and it seems to be pretty much the same manual as the English version, as far as I could tell. Although no one, I don't think, had uploaded the Japanese version yet. So overall, my plan for the website is to include cover scans for games like, say, PlayStation 2 games and whatnot, as well as manual scans and cartridge label scans for all of the games in my collection. And one of the problems with that is my collection is actually split between two different countries, because every time I go home, every time I visit, I will bring like two giant 50-pound bags with me, because I've collected so many things over, the years, because I've been in Japan for like 5 years now, so I've been able to get a lot of cool old video games, to where if I had them all in just one location, if I kept them all in my apartment, my tiny Japanese apartment, it just wouldn't work. So I have a lot of it. A lot of my collection is at my parents' house, and probably this August, I'm probably going to go home for a few weeks, and I'm probably going to be spending a lot of my time scanning in those manuals, as well as dying at Donkey Kong Jr., because let me tell you, for some reason, I'm just not as good at Donkey Kong Jr. as I am at Donkey Kong. Not that I'm very good at Donkey Kong. I'll let you know. If you watched that last stream, you know that I am terrible at all video games. But Donkey Kong, for some reason, I just was never able to... Come on, no! Oh my god, and see, it's that thing, I feel like the drop distance in Donkey Kong Jr. and Donkey Kong is just too small. You drop more than like 2 inches and you're dead. And so, okay, hold on. And I was thinking about this, because I was looking at Famicom games. There's Donkey Kong, there's Donkey Kong Jr., and then there's Donkey Kong 3. Does that mean that Donkey Kong Jr. is Donkey Kong 2? Is that what Nintendo is implying when they released Donkey Kong 3 in 1984? Although that's the Famicom release. It may very well have come out as an arcade game earlier. I don't actually know. I've never actually played Donkey Kong 3, now that I think about it. My first Donkey Kong was Donkey Kong Country. So I yapped about my video game collection, so I guess I should talk about my trip that I went on for the last about a week and a half. So I was talking about how I went to Kyoto to help out with Bit Summit. And then so that was like for 4 days. That was from like Friday to Monday. And then that Tuesday night, my parents came to visit me in Japan. So we went to 3 places. Well, I'll talk about the trip, but I guess I've been talking about retro games, so I'll talk about all of the video games that I looked at. Because one of the ways, because we went to Oita, which is in eastern Kyushu. I showed them around there because they'd never been there before. My parents have visited once before. And we did kind of all the traditional stuff. We did Kyoto, we did Tokyo, and I showed them around where I live. So this time, I decided to spice it up. I wanted to take them to Kumamoto to go see the castle, but unfortunately, there was an earthquake that I lived through. That was like, it was like a 7.0, and ended up destroying, I mean, maybe not totally destroying, but ruining this beautiful castle down in Kumamoto, and I thought it was a real shame. And I wanted to show my parents that castle. However, they came about a year too late to see it. So we ended up going to Oita. I ended up going to one hard-off there because Oita has a really good hard-off in the middle of the city. In Oita City, I remember I went there probably about 2 years ago. They had a V Saturn that I wish I had bought then because I think it was cheaper than when I eventually bought it. The V Saturn was this crazy... Sega had this insane system where they would just let people, Hitachi, excuse me, if you want the proper pronunciation. So Hitachi ended up making its own Sega Saturn, and so did Victor, which is this Japanese electronics company. I think is JVC Victor? Yeah, I think it is. But the V Saturn is uncommon. I wouldn't say it's exactly rare, although I don't see it too often. That was the first time I had ever seen it in the wild, and I kind of wish I had bought it then, but I ended up buying a Sega Genesis at that time. This time, I finally found Mega Man 8, and I'm not talking about in Japan, you'll find a lot of Mega Man 8s that are like the PlayStation Best Collection or whatever. I got the true original label because I am a psychopath, and stuff like that matters to me. I always feel kind of tricked whenever I pick up one of those, best or, value edition games. Like, what did I get? Oh, one of the, I went to Tokyo a while back, and I picked up Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow. And the thing about, and it's actually got a reversible cover, as I found out, because if you, the best hits version of Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow, it's got a reversible cover where the front is that like red bordered thing, and then on the back is the original cover. And I was not aware of this at the time, otherwise I would not have bought it. Because I'm a psycho, as I said. What else did I get? I almost have a complete Japanese N64 set. I'm very close to it. Not only do I have almost all of the, I have very nearly all of the console colors. The only one I'm missing is the clear black version that came out with the 64DD. It was a special set that was released where you got the 64DD, a bunch of games, and the clear black N64. And I don't even know what the original MSRP is, but I've seen it in Tokyo, the whole set, for about $1,000. And I'm like, no way. I mean, I kind of want a 64DD, like, because, when I came to Japan, collecting the N64 was my thing. I was like, I'm in love with the N64. This is part of it's my childhood, and I really want to play the games again. However, I have come, after playing so many N64 games, I have come to just hate it. Like, the N64 has some of the best games ever made, hands down. But holy crap, does it also have just some very not good games. And I don't know if that's because I've played pretty much all of them. You can check out my Retro Spectacle series where I play through, where I'm trying to play through all of the Japanese exclusive releases. But man, just some of them aren't very good. But I guess that's what you can expect when a system only has 200 something titles. The N64 library in Japan, I think, is actually smaller than it was in America, now that I think about it. And that's a weird thing about the Wii library, too. Like, the Wii in America had, I think, like 1,000 games. It had that, you know, Famicom level of popularity, and so there was an insane amount of games that came out for it. But in Japan, the Wii, I think, only had like 400 games, which I guess makes it easier to collect for, although I haven't gotten around to collecting for the Wii yet. Let me see. Let me think. What? So I went to Oita. I went to the Hard Off there. Found some okay things. Nothing super surprising, which is unfortunate because last time, I mean, they had a bunch of MSXs, MSXI, or however you pluralize X at the end of MSXs. Yeah, I guess. They had those, and they had a junk PC Engine Turbo Duo, which I would love to repair because I bought a Turbo Duo in the box, but I screwed up fixing the capacitors on it, so it only has audio out of either the left or the right channel. I can't remember which one. Oh god! Oh, I always die. I always fall off there, and then I bounce up, but I don't bounce up properly, so I end up getting caught underneath that little lip on the left. So in Oita, yeah, that happened, and then I went with my parents to Mount Fuji, which is actually pretty far from where I live. So it was like a 5-hour Shinkansen ride, and there's actually a hard off that is like right in front of Mount Fuji. It's in Fuji. It's like hard off Fuji, and they had like some their system was really weird in terms of their prices because I was there and they had like some games that weren't that rare, but the prices were, I think, unreasonably high. Although I did end up buying Donpachi for the Sega Saturn for like $40, which I thought was pretty good. Donpachi is a really good shooter. I think it came out from the PlayStation and the Sega Saturn, but I highly recommend playing it however you can. But they also had a Steel Battalion controller that I wish I had bought. Well, kind of. We were already carrying around too many bags, and so if you don't know what Steel Battalion is, it was a mech game. I can't remember who developed it, but Steel Battalion was a mech game that came out for I think the original Xbox, and a controller, an original Xbox controller was not good enough for Steel Battalion. What they had to do was create a cockpit. Like, imagine the inside of an airplane cockpit reduced down to the size of a small desk. And that is the Steel Battalion controller. It has, I think, 100 buttons on them, and each button does something. There's not a wasted button on that console, on that command console. And I can't even remember what it retailed for, but this hard off was selling it for $30. And if it wasn't for the giant bag I was already carrying around, plus the, 5 or so hour train ride it would have taken me to get home, I would have bought it because I really want to play Steel Battalion with that controller. And I actually ended up going to Mandarake in Fukuoka, which I have a video showing off the store somewhere on the channel somewhere. Honest to God, I saw it at that Mandarake for $100. I could have saved $70 on that stupid controller if I had just brought it back. Alas, I did not. I also went to the prefecture next to Fuji. We ended up renting a car in order to get to Fuji because taking the train to the actual Mount Fuji is insane and is, a real pain in the ass if you're carrying around a lot of bags and you're with, your mid-50s parents. So with that car, I ended up driving around and going to a bunch of hard-offs. I managed to almost complete my 1983 Famicom collection. I ended up completing it, I think, at that Mandarake by actually getting... No, it was... I wanted to get... I think I got it around here somewhere. Which one of these is it? Oh yeah, this was the final game in the year that I needed to get. This is Donkey Kong Jr. and Sansu Asobi, or Donkey Kong Jr.'s math fun time. I don't know how you would localize that. But that was the last nail in the set, and I'm just playing them one after the other. I'm scanning the labels in, and hopefully someday soon you will be able to see the fruits of that effort. I actually already have uploaded those pictures to my Tumblr, if you want to go check that out. I hope I put a link to my Tumblr in the description of this video stream here. Did I find anything good at Fuji? What did I find? I found a couple good boxed games. I think I bought a lot of Famicom games. I have unfortunately been getting into Famicom collecting at its most expensive. I think that's maybe something else I wanted to talk about in terms of collecting Japanese games. Either, whether you're buying them off of eBay or you're coming to Japan and buying those games. Obviously, Famicom probably hit its peak probably a couple years ago. Unfortunately, when I came to Japan, I was collecting N64 games. What I should have been doing was collecting Super Famicom and Famicom games. I would have saved myself a lot of money, but I was collecting what I loved, and then it turned out I hated the N64. But that's neither here nor there. Let's see, Famicom games. Couldn't tell the difference on my LCD. Don't play retro games on the LCD because you won't be... I could get a FrameMeister, I suppose. Maybe I should actually get a FrameMeister for when I'm doing this. But I think the FrameMeister ended its run. But they're also like $300. It's like, holy crap, I've already spent so much money on these freaking games. And then I have to spend another $300 just to get them to look good? Jesus. So yeah, the Famicom hit its peak, and then also what's happened is I've been getting into Sega Saturn. And fortunately, the Sega Saturn hasn't had any real big price rises. It's just been expensive forever. So I bought, for example, Battle Garega, which is this great... It's probably maybe my first, definitely vying for first, best shmup ever. And I bought it for $200 like 6 months ago. Thing is I went to Super Potato, almost literally the other day, and they had it for, I think, $120. So if only I had waited 6 months. I feel like I got my $200 out of it, because it's a game that I still play once in a while, and when I first got it, I was just playing it all the time. But, man, you just kind of wish you just had waited and could have saved myself $80. But I think what I'm seeing with Saturn stuff is that the price is kind of going down on certain things, or at least staying stable. Which is good, I think, because all we've experienced in retro game collecting these last 10 years is just all these price hikes. I remember coming to Japan 5 years ago and seeing games that, they would have been $50 5 years ago. Now they're going for $200, $300. And especially the games that foreigners go for, like, for example, Earthbound. I came to Japan and I bought Earthbound one of the first weeks that I was here, actually. And I think I bought it for like $8 in the box. And that was in, Kyushu, middle of nowhere. if you go to Tokyo, Mother 2 is, I think it's like a $50 game now. Like, you have all of these foreigners coming to Japan, like me, and going to the stores in Akihabara, or even Osaka, buying up all these games and affecting the prices of everything. And I think, if you want to save money on video games in Japan, first of all, don't buy stuff on eBay. Unless you don't have the chance to come to Japan. If you can't come to Japan, then yeah, obviously you're stuck buying through eBay. Or even, check Amazon Japan. Actually, Amazon Japan would be really good. I would actually recommend that. Simply because there are a lot of, it seems, secondhand video game dealers who will ship internationally through the Amazon Marketplace. And I actually found a really cheap copy of Batsugun for the Sega Saturn that is a really good game. I managed to play it recently. And it's normally like a $200 game, but I think I found it for like $140 on Amazon. So that's, oh god, again! So yeah, check that out. You could do Yahoo auctions. I guess that's an option, but you've got to find a like a third-party shipping person, and that can get super complicated in terms of import duties and just coordination. But if you can come to Japan, I did a video a couple months ago when I was visiting Tokyo. If you're serious about collecting retro games in Japan and you have time, I would highly recommend going to Hard Off in the greater Tokyo area, because not all of them will be good, but if you go to enough of them, you'll be able to find one that's good, and you'll be able to get cheap systems, much cheaper than what you'll find at Super Potato, or any of the other Akihabara staples. So I'd recommend checking those out. Let's see, okay. And, let's see, what did I find? I don't even remember. I bought a lot of games, but nothing super notable, just kind of filling gaps. I got a little bit closer to completing my N64 collection. I bought Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey. I'll play that for like an hour and then be done with it, because, it's an old sports game. It's really weird, personally, how sports games tend, I think, especially with the bigger, EA whatever titles, they'll get these crazy good scores. They'll get like 9s. And then you look at them years later and you're just like, what are we thinking? These graphics are not very good. And I just, I don't like sports in real life. Why am I gonna like to play sports games? That's not me. That's not who I am. I don't like even like cool Neo Geo sports games. Like I've got a Neo Geo bowling game from the Neo Geo CD. It's like, I bet I kind of would rather bowl. Not that I'm a bowling person, although I kind of am. I've started doing, just to mess with my friends, what I've started doing is, because most people do the one-handed, the normal bowl. I do the two-handed, throwing under the crotch bowl, like the kids do. And I've gotten some results from that. Hey, hi, Faizuddin, what's up? How's tricks? We got one whole viewer. How you doing? It's what time is it? It's 3:45 here at the JP. 3:45 in the afternoon, if you couldn't tell from the light. And I don't know what it's like in other countries besides America and Japan, but in America, in Japan, the sun has been coming up at like 4 a.m. now, and it really fucks with your schedule, and I'm dying. But it's also year number 5. Dexter, we got Dexter squared over here. Is that what's the origin of Dexter? Are you a big fan of Dexter's Laboratory, or are you just is your actual name Dexter? That's my one wish. Can you do that for me, Donkey Kong Jr.? the actual Donkey Kong that we know from Donkey Kong Country, I believe. That is confirmed canon. I just need you to not die. Both, holy shit, wait, hold on, Dexter. Dexter, excuse me, Mr. Dexter. You are not only a fan of Dexter's Laboratory, but your real name is also Dexter. I need to know that. I want you to tell me that information, please. And I'm gonna get even further while I await the reply. Why don't you play Dragon Quest? That's actually a very interesting question, and because I actually just bought, I bought Dragon Quest 3 and 4. I have them in the box over there somewhere. And actually, one thing would, because Dragon Quest 11 is coming out July 29th-ish or so. The only problem with that is that's the weekend I'm probably gonna end up moving. So I might not be able to do a day one Let's Play, but I could probably do a complete Let's Play of Dragon Quest 11. You know, like a translation something. However, Dragon Quest is also a 60-hour game that I'm like, you know, I've completed Dragon Quest 8. I liked Dragon Quest 7. But to me, I've never been that enraptured with Dragon Quest. I've always thought Dragon Quest is an okay RPG. I understand its popularity in Japan and its kind of cult following abroad. But to me, it's always seemed kind of bland. To me, it's always kind of... Maybe it's because it's been copied so much. Like, there's so many Japanese RPGs that are just, you know, reskinned Dragon Quest. So maybe that's why I've never been super, you know, enraptured with Dragon Quest. But that's just a me thing. But I know that people are going to want to see it because it's probably going to not come out in English probably for 6 months. It's going to be a huge game. And yes, and I doubt anyone's going to be as insane as I am and try and do a complete Let's Play of it. So it's definitely something that I'm considering. And you're right, Faizudin. I did do Persona 5, but I also really liked Persona 5. And I feel like I might not be able to do Dragon Quest justice because I'm just not going to be that into it. And also, probably, I'm not actually going to have access to a PlayStation 4 for a while after I move, simply because I'm basically... My plan right now is to move into a new apartment come literally probably the release day of Dragon Quest 11, and then probably the week after, I'm probably going to end up visiting home for like 3 weeks. And I'd rather spend that time not only just hanging out with my family and some of my friends, but also scanning in stuff for my collection and organizing all that stuff. But basically organizing my life in America for those 3 weeks. Although, that doesn't mean I couldn't do it when I come back, because, like what happened with Persona, I ended up being only one of the very few people who did it, and it seems the only person who did a complete Let's Play of the Japanese version. Until the English version was released. So it's in the cards. I'm not going to guarantee anything. It's something that I've considered doing, but we'll see. Okay, hold on, Dexter. Yes, my name is Dexter, but people just call me Dex for short. Holy shit, I wish I had a cool-ass name that could be shortened to, like, Dex. You know, Dexter, that's a pretty cool-ass name, I gotta tell you. My name is so boring that it just ends up getting shortened to John. Which is like, first of all, it really pisses me off because my name is not spelled with an H, but people will spell John with an H anyways because that's, you know, I don't fault them because that's how you would normally spell John, but my full name is Jonathan, which does not have an H in it. I don't have an H in my name. John Hamm doesn't have an H in his name. John Stewart doesn't have an H in his name. However, I did end up adopting, well, not for reals, but you know, my internet persona is jcontra, which is a throwback to my old college username. If I hope no one has sullied that email. Though I can't imagine there are a ton of other jcontras attending a university that I went to. Because I have a pretty, there's only one, I think, person with my insane name combination. And definitely with my middle name. There's no one else that's got my insane name. Yeah, you're like, John is a crazy, like, Faizuddin, is that your actual name, Faizuddin? Is that an Arabic name? Just gotta time it, there we go. I have learned in Donkey Kong Jr. that if you can time it right, you can always get up to the platform using that, what do you even call that purple thing? It was in the original Donkey Kong, like a springboard? A spring? I guess you would call it a spring? So Dexter, I'm not saying it's a bad name. I'm just saying it's very generic and boring. But to me, boring is also kind of bad. But it's not like I hate it. It's just, I mean, it's just what I've had to deal with for the last 27 years of my life. So I guess I'm used to it by now. Malaysian name. Interesting. I did not, wait, oh no, I have not hung out with many Malaysian people. Although, I did recently hang out. I was recently featured in a local newspaper because I went to an Indonesian, cultural exchange event where a bunch of Indonesian guys who are living around me, they cooked up this really good Indonesian food, and I helped out cook some Japanese food. So it's like, oh, the Indonesian guys could experience Japanese cooking, and the Japanese people could experience Indonesian cooking. And I gotta tell you, like, Japanese food can be good, but oh man, that Indonesian food is really good. It's really good, and I honestly can't remember what it was called, but there was some really cool, really good chicken, bomb-ass rice. Oh, it was great. I think, yeah, maybe. Okay, I'm gonna free my dad. I'm gonna free Daddy. And then I think we're gonna call it quits. It's been half an hour, and I'm getting thirsty, and it's hot. Oh my god, it's so hot. So, Faizuddin, are you in Malaysia, or do you just happen to be Malaysian? Okay, we just gotta get. Okay, don't go back. No. Come on. Yeah, there we go. Got it. Okay. Now this is always the hardest one because. Yeah, you're right, Faizuddin. Malaysian food is lit. As it were. Like, I think one of my problems with Japanese food is that besides, you got wasabi, which can be pretty strong. But aside from that, there's not a ton of, I mean, there are some spices, but Japanese people don't like tons of spicy food. You can find it, but when you go to, like, the curry houses here, I don't think they've got hot spices. They have the potential. And there's a lot of, actually, Indian food here that can get spicy. But I think Japanese curry, is known for its sweetness. And to be honest, I actually kind of like that because I'm not really good with spices, which is, I think probably, my Mexican grandmother is probably spinning in her grave because of my weakness to the spice. But that's my life. That's how I was raised. My mom is very white. So I think I probably tend towards her side and not liking the spices. Malaysian born and raised, you say? I guess that would make sense because, it's what? I think probably 2 o'clock in the morning in America. So it's gotta be what, 4 o'clock in Malaysia right now, probably? Do you, Faizuddin, I hope I'm not, I don't want to be, pushing any buttons here, but do you feel offended by Zoolander and how they tried to kill the Prime Minister of Malaysia? Because that was, maybe that was Malaysia's biggest, probably, Hollywood moment. was having a fake person who probably wasn't even Malaysian be the Prime Minister of Malaysia. What PS4 are you getting? Because I have PS4 Pro. Dexter, I already have. I have PS4. I have a original PS4. Well, no. Is it a Slim? No, it's not. It's an original PS4. It is the Final Fantasy Type 0 PS4. And I bought it. The only reason I bought it was because it was red. It was red, and I wanted to play Final Fantasy 15. I played it because Final Fantasy Type 0 HD came with the demo for Final Fantasy 15. And I thought, well, I want a PlayStation 4. I don't really want to play Final Fantasy Type 0 too much, but a red PS4, I'm on board, and Final Fantasy 15. Final Fantasy Type 0 was not that good. TBH, it was not great. But I did enjoy the demo. I actually still have not played Final Fantasy 15 now that I think about it. I still haven't bought it yet. Because I was going to play it, but I ended up playing Persona 5, and I just did not have the time. You know what, yeah, I should actually probably do the one over on the right. Whoa, so Faizudin, Zoolander got banned in Malaysia? What? I did not know that. That's pretty insane. Okay, so we got, that's always the hardest one. I find if you're ever going to play Donkey Kong Jr., first of all, why? It's an okay game, but otherwise, if you want to have a better time of freeing Donkey Kong, always take the one on the very right first. I always find that one to be the most difficult key to unlock. Also, why would Mario put up this elaborate system of locks? Why wouldn't he just keep the key on himself? Is it because he's afraid that you're gonna, like, beat him up? Let's see, they even banned Beauty and the Beast because of a section of the gay scene. There's a gay scene in Beauty and the Beast? I've not actually seen it. Are we talking about the Emma Watson live-action version? Because I haven't seen it. Because Malaysians are mostly Muslim country, right? So I guess maybe the censors had problems with that. I don't know. I'm not super familiar with the Malaysian film industry, to be honest. But Dexter, I do not have a PlayStation 4 Pro yet. I want one, but I also don't want to spend $400 on a console just quite yet, on a console that I already kind of sort of have. I'm actually waiting for E3 because I will bet you anything that Sony either releases some new color options, which I'm into. I don't like buying the bland black console. I want some color when I buy a console. So I'm hoping that they come out with like a red PS4 Pro or something. So I'm kind of waiting, I think E3 is in a couple weeks now to date this stream. So I'm going to wait until then, and maybe as my gift to myself for being a good boy and moving and starting a new job, I probably will end up buying myself a PS4 Pro. But has Sony, maybe Faizudin would know about this since he's talking about Dragon Quest. But Faizudin, do you know if Dragon Quest XI has a PS4 Pro mode? Because not all new PS4 games are going to have, PS4 Pro modes. Does it take advantage of the extra computing power? I'm in 2 more action fighting games like DBZ. Oh, you mean like for the PS4? Are there Dragon Ball games for the PS4? I didn't know that. I haven't been really paying attention. I remember back in the day, I don't know if you kids, if you guys are kids compared to me, but back in the day, it was a huge deal when one of the kids at my, I used to go to a Boys and Girls Club, probably 15 years ago, back when I was like in the 6th grade. I went to this Boys and Girls Club, and they had TV set up, so some of my friends would bring in, like their PlayStations or their N64s, and one of the kids had a mod-shipped PlayStation, and he would bring in Dragon Ball Z Budokai, like the first one for the original PlayStation, and it was a Japan-only thing. And so we were like, holy shit, we get to play as Goku, and we get to fight each other, because you couldn't get that shit in English. You had to like you had to probably order it out of the back of a video game magazine. Because we didn't even, I mean, we barely had the internet at that point. We had dial-up, and you probably could have ordered something that way, but that was dark days. Like, it wasn't like now where you could just, log into the PSN and get that shit. You had to, like, send a check. You had to mail a check to someone if you wanted to import a game. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Dragon Quest XI has the Pro mode. Okay, yeah, so that's, Because there's one, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's gonna be the 3DS version, which is of course useless in terms of streams because I do not have a streaming capable 3DS, which I think is like, what's I think gonna be insane is all of these DS games, like even some really cool like Castlevania games, are just gonna be lost forever because if, in 10 years when no one's doing, first of all, Nintendo's going to kill the 3DS, but also, if you want to be able to stream from your DS, you have to get it modified. But there's going to be a point where, the people doing it now probably aren't going to be doing it in 10 years. But then again, there's a guy who's modifying Sega Saturns so that they can use, instead of using CDs, he replaces the CD drive with an SD card reader. So, I could be talking shit. People could still be playing DS games, and maybe someone will find a way of making it easier to stream the DS in 10 years. Who knows? Especially since the DS, I bet there's going to be a lot of nostalgia for the DS. Like, you have to think about how the Game Boy, I think just now, is hitting the cultural, like, I think it's, nostalgia peak. You go into, like, these old video game shops, especially in Japan, you're finding, I think I was at Super Potato, and a complete copy of Pokemon Red was $50. And that's actually almost 3 times what it was a few years ago when I last visited. And that meant $20 for a Pokemon game, even 5 years ago, that was expensive. But it's now even getting more expensive. So I will bet you anything that as big as the Game Boy was, the DS was bigger. So I'm willing, I will put fake internet dollars down, saying that the nostalgia for the DS come 2030 is going to be huge. So actually, if you want, but now is your time. Now is your moment, folks. If you want to save yourself an assload of money, or you want to have some cool collectibles, go out and buy complete box sets of DS stuff. Because even now, like, Castlevania games are expensive, it's going to get even worse. So take heed. Because although you can actually get virtual console versions of some of that stuff, so I think that'll take some of the bite out of the price hikes. But just be prepared. Let's see. I have all the DBZ games. Are we talking Budokai, Dexter? They just released Dragon Quest VIII on 3DS earlier this year. Yeah, but they're coming out with 11. 11 is going to be 3DS and PlayStation 4. Are they coming out with Dragon Quest for the PlayStation 3? That would actually be very interesting, considering that the PlayStation 3 was officially just discontinued. However, the install base, I believe, is still quite large. So probably coming out for the PlayStation 3 wouldn't be a bad idea, but I don't know if they're actually doing it or not. Oh, and I'm dead. Okay. Woo, we're now in overtime, so I'm gonna go until I'm dead. Yes, okay, new goal. New goal is to die. But I've been having fun. I enjoy talking to people. It's really weird because whenever I talk to people that I've only just met in real life, I get very anxious and I don't say a whole lot. But talking to people on the internet is fun. Maybe because, I don't know, it's weird because, it's kind of just text on a screen, but it's real people. Real people from across the world. Okay, so we got Faizuddin from Malaysia. Dexter, where are you at? Where are you from? I'm gonna keep on playing it. I need to know. I must know. I'm gonna keep on going. I don't care. I said I was gonna finish. I'm not done. I'm not done until I figure out where Dexter is from. Otherwise, I'm going to be very quiet because I'm waiting for Dexter's response. I'm being quiet so that he can give his answer. Do the archives, do they show the chat log? I don't think so. I think you have to be here to enjoy the live chat. New York. I have a couple, well, I used to have a couple friends that lived in New York City, although one of them ended up moving to Texas after he got married. But I still got a friend in New York, and so I will occasionally visit. I'll probably end up visiting come August. Although I'm still not, yeah, I guess I think it's more or less definite. Oh my god. Okay. Alright, so I figured out where Dexter is from. We figured out he's from New York. And I've got one more life. I only have one life, and there it goes. That wasn't even intentional. That's just me being bad at video games. But we've been going for 45 minutes. I need a drink, and I think I've bored everyone with Donkey Kong Jr. We got to save our daddy, and that's pretty much as much of the game as you can experience. I had fun talking to you guys. Went longer than I thought it would because I had such a good time talking in the chat. But I will be back. You know, shit, maybe I'll even play more tonight. I don't even know. But I'll probably end up playing some Popeye, completing the first 3 games that were released for the Famicom in 1983. I've been jcontra. Yeah, playing Donkey Kong Jr. You know, maybe I'll be on in a few hours. I'm not sure. But I have been jcontra once again for the 5th time now. Thanks for watching. See you next time. And mahalo.